If you're fishing here on the South Holston River and you don't know how the generation schedule works, you could be gambling with your gear and possibly your life. Today, I'm gonna show you how to read the generation schedule, fish it safely, and catch more fish doing it. Let's start off by talking about when there's no generation or a single turbine generating. As you can see behind me right now, the water is very low and you can walk across the entire river right now, which is awesome for anybody who loves to wade fish. This is the time where you're gonna be targeting trout that are rising and eating bugs. And in this crystal clear water, it's typically a good idea to use smaller flies and longer leader. Let me show you a few good examples of what it's like when the water is very low on some private river frontage for Tailwaters Lodge. It is a special thing to be able to walk across the river when they're not generating. So it shows you just how powerful it is. If you like to wade fish, to know that you've got private river access here at Tailwaters Lodge is pretty amazing. They're here eating, guys. They're here. Just trying to get it where I can catch them. Fish on. Here we go. He's buried himself in some muck. We may have to go get him. There he is. It's a little brown trout, guys. Let's see if we can get him in. Oh, this is exciting. Let's see if we can get him in. Oh, he's not ready. He is not ready. Okay, got him on the surface. Yes, in the net, guys. And I just caught my first brown trout on the fly here at Tailwaters Lodge on the property. Oh, that was so cool. And look how beautiful he is, guys. Let's go ahead and let this guy go. And away he goes. What I've noticed is that trout love to stage up in little pools and runs, and they will quite literally come up and eat in a specific spot. So this is a great time of year to be fly fishing and doing dry flies. And once you key it in, that can be a very fun thing. I've enjoyed that myself out here on the South Holston River. And I know when you're planning your trip, a lot of people, they're looking forward to being able to get out on the river, do some wade fishing and enjoy that topwater bite. And this is the perfect scenario for that. But like I said, here in a few minutes, the fishing completely changes because once the water comes up, the fish become a lot more aggressive and are willing to chase bigger flies like streamers or even plugs. If you hear behind me, this is the alarm that they raise. This is the siren you're gonna hear as they start to release water from the dam. If you hear this sound, that means you have a little bit of time to get out of the water. So if you're wade fishing, it's a good time when you hear that siren to go ahead and make your way back onto land so that you don't get in trouble when that water comes up. So guys, I'm down here at the base of the Weir Dam. The siren just went off. I've set up my SLR here. And what we're gonna do is get a really cool time lapse to show you what it looks like as the water comes up. The water is coming up. What was dry before is now a waterfall of water coming over the Weir Dam. It's just amazing to see the transformation in the river. And with this transformation and more water, the fish get a lot more aggressive and the big fish come out to play. All right, as you can see behind me, we've got generating water. The water has come up. It's no longer wadeable. Now you have to fish a little bit differently. One of the ways you can do that is on a drift boat. You can still fish from the bank, but of course you do have to switch up your tactics. Now we're using more of the streamers. We're using plugs, different things like that, depending on what style of fishing you're using. Let's talk about what happens with the trout. So as the water comes up and they release water from the dam, it actually triggers a bit of a feeding frenzy. So let's talk about why. So the surge and flow actually creates a bit of a disturbance on the bottom of the water that churns up everything and moves things around. So things that were normally hiding below rocks are now being dislodged. Fish are starting to shoot around and dart around. They're not in safe spots like they used to be. I'm referring to things like darters and creek chubs and sculpin, things like that that trout love to eat. They're now all of a sudden getting disrupted from their normal habitat. And the same with crawdads and other things. They're all moving about, creating this convoy of just food that can be eaten. So this triggers a feeding frenzy. The fish become a lot more aggressive, specifically the brown trout. They absolutely go crazy during this time. So when I'm out fishing and I see the water coming up like it is right now, I automatically think brown trout are gonna aggressively eat. So I'll throw things like plugs, TD minnows, big streamers, and that's really what gets the bite going, is that they're automatically in a feeding frenzy already, and once you throw the right thing at them, it can really turn on. Another thing psychologically for the fish is when the movement of the water picks up, they they feel safer outside. For whatever reason, when they're in a low water scenario where it's crystal clear and there's no flow, they don't feel as safe, so they're more likely to hide and wait for the water to come up. But as the water comes up, they feel a lot more safe and secure. They no longer feel like they're vulnerable to things attacking them from above, like osprey, and they usually come out, and they're a little bit more aggressive for that reason as well. They just feel like they're invincible, and it's their time to feed, and that's a perfect time for an angler to be on the water to take advantage. Let me give you a couple of good examples of times I've been out on the river as the river's been up and generating, and I've had good success. Yeah, so guys, we're doing high water, which means that they're generating today. The water's up. Logan's literally back paddling right now to keep us so that we're in good zones. It is 20-pound test that we have on this fly rod today. One of the goals, at least from my short experience doing streamer fishing, one of the goals of streamer fishing is to honestly try to hit near the banks where there's more slackish water and pull it into the main current. That seems to be a pattern that the trout really, really like. And so that's kind of our goal today, is to be shooting under trees, shooting back into soft water areas, and just seeing what we can pull out. And you never know. I mean, this is what we're doing today is giant hunting. We're going after big fish only. Most trout are not going to come after this thing. In fact, some of them will be afraid of it. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Yep. Oh, big fella came out and tried to eat him. He did. He's still there. He's still there. He's all over it. He's all over it. Look at him, look at him. You see him? The lighting is perfect. Pre-storm. I mean, yeah, got him, fish on. Big fish. Big fish, guys.
Nice, Michael.
Oh man.
Give him the business.
Oh my gosh, guys, big brown. And he is fighting me.
Oh, that is a monster.
He's huge. He's huge. Oh my gosh. Guys, this is a big fish. Yes! Dude! Now, when it comes to reading the TVA app, I want to turn it over to my good friend Logan Shell. He happens to be a professional guide here on the river. He works with the South Holston River Company, and I interviewed him about how to read the app so that you can successfully plan out your day. Let's go ahead and take a listen. All right, guys, today we're with Logan Shell. He is a professional guide here for the South Holston River Company. And today we're going to be discussing the app you can get on your phone where you can check generating schedules here for the TVA dam system. So without further ado, let's listen to what Logan has to say and learn a little bit about how to plan your stay. Once you get the app on your phone, where do you need to go to check the river flow?
So first thing you want to do once you get the app on your phone, you want to go through and look up the dams that you are going to fish below, and you want to like or favorite them, and that'll automatically icon that up to the very top when you open the TVA app. So once you open the TVA app, you want to go and look, and there's going to be generation schedule released usually about 4:30 to 5:30 the night previous to the day you're going to fish. So you really want to pay attention to that. And if you scroll down to the bottom, once you click on whichever river dam that you're going to fish below, if you scroll down to the bottom of that, it'll show a projected outflow as well. Usually if they're not going to generate, it'll show a projected flow of like 10 CFS for South Holston and usually a 240 for Wilbur, which is Watauga tailwater. If you see that it's going to pulse like an hour or so, say from the hours of 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. on South Holston, for that hour, usually the water levels will rise up around 10:45 a.m. and you really don't want to be in the water when that happens. You want to be out on the banks, let that water flow through. It'll take about 45 minutes for it to come back, maybe not even that long, maybe about 30 to 45 minutes for it to come back down. Usually on Wilbur, which flows into Watauga, they usually don't do a pulse throughout the day, so no worries there, but you really want to pay attention to their recreational releases, and they usually do that daily around noon. Sometimes they won't do it on Sunday, but normally Monday through Saturday they're going to be generating from noon to 6, and same thing for them. As soon as they start releasing, the water's going to come up very fast. If you're the closer you are to the dam, the faster it's going to rise on you. So you really want to pay attention to that. If you're right below the dam, you hear the sirens, you definitely want to be getting out of the river. If you're farther on down, say at Hunter Bridge or something, and you're fishing down there, you're going to have about an hour and a half left before that water is going to hit you. And the same thing for the guys who bring their drift boats and stuff. If you see an afternoon release from noon to say 6 on South Holston, that water's not going to be floatable until about 12:45 p.m. And then you're going to have, you know, once it hits 6 p.m., it'll drastically start, you know, falling out. If you're close to the dam, it's really going to drop on you pretty quick. And the farther downstream you go, it's going to take a little bit longer. So if you're at Big Springs and they turn the water off, it's usually going to be low water down there about 2.5 hours, and then so on and so forth the farther down river you go.
And one fun note as well, as you're kind of looking at the map, maybe you're on Google Maps, you're trying to figure out water flow, when stuff's going to hit. As a rule of thumb, it typically flows about 3 miles per hour. That's the pace of the river. So when they start generating, you can kind of calculate it by doing that. At least that's what I've been told.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So summer schedule. That's going to be the recreational release.
Yeah.
That doesn't apply to winter and fall, does it? Okay.
So the recreational release, that's going to be a guaranteed release every day on Wilbur. That's going to be from Memorial Day until Labor Day. So every day just plan on a generation at some point. Like I said, some Sundays they won't generate, some Sundays they will. Also, rain and weather affect our generation schedules very much. You know, the more rain we get, it's going to fill up our lakes and tributaries, and the more water they're going to release. So if we have a very rainy season, they're going to release more water throughout the season. So really pay attention to those generation schedules, especially if you're planning on wading any of our tailwater fisheries, because that water will rise very, very rapidly on you, and you definitely don't want to be stuck out there in the middle of the river. So if you see the schedule is going to release, say at noon, a good rule of thumb is you want to be pretty much out of the water by 12:30 if you're close wade fishing at the dam, and especially at Tailwaters Lodge property. If they're going to do a 12 a.m. release, or 12 p.m. release, you definitely want to be out of the water or be working your way out of the water by 12:20 and out of the water by 12:30.
Yep.
And you can also see, if you pay attention to the water, if you're out there and you start seeing leaves and debris kind of pass you kind of quickly and the water flows start picking up drastically, you definitely want to evacuate the water as quickly as possible. TVA is not a guarantee, so they can turn on those generators at any time. They're pretty true to their schedule though, as far as the TVA app, but just keep in the back of your mind that sometimes they'll throw a kink in the hose, and they'll throw out a generation that doesn't line up with what the schedule says.
I've experienced that one myself.
Yep, I did too. Last year.
So let's talk about some fun words. There might be some weird words. We're going to talk about one right now.
So sometimes on the generation schedule, you'll see, as soon as you open up whichever river you're going to fish behind, or whichever tailwater fishery you're going to fish, if you open it up, South Holston, Wilbur, and it says anything like sluicing, look at that CFS. If it's anything over 400 CFS, it is not wadeable. You can only float it. So if it's below 400, you're good for wading. If it's above it, I wouldn't try to wade the water. It'd be probably a little dangerous. Probably try to reserve that for the drift boat. Also, if you see that on Watauga, I would not wade Watauga tailwater. If you see a sluice release for Wilbur, most of the time it's above 1,000 CFS, and that's non-wadeable.
Yep. All right, guys, I hope you found this episode helpful as you plan out your stay here at the Tailwaters Lodge, as well as the South Holston River. If you would like to see more episodes from the Tailwaters Lodge, I've got a really good one right here. Or if you prefer to see what it's like to be on a drift boat during high water, I've got a good one right here. Till next time, tight lines.